So the big news out of the All Blacks camp, Scott Barrett ruled out with a calf injury and will be unavailable for the rest of the New Zealand versus France series. It comes only days after that first test match down in Dunedin, but now there are question marks. Who will replace him? Who is the new captain? And in this video, we'll be trying to answer a couple of those questions, but jumping straight into it, Scott Barrett, he did suffer a calf injury in the first match up against the French. He was getting scans yesterday, and it has proven to be a calf tear. Now, they don't know the severity as of yet in terms of the window, how long it will take him to heal, but for a mild tear, you're looking at 1 to 3 weeks, which is the absolute minimum, and that makes sense as to why he's now unavailable for the next 2 matches. If it is a moderate tear, he's looking at 4 to 8 weeks. And if it is on the upper level of that healing, means that he will miss the start of the Rugby Championship competition. And then if it is severe, which is the worst case scenario, could be up for 3 to 6 months, which then when you look at the international window, that means no more rugby for Scott Barrett this year if it's the upper level of that tear as well. But it is bad news for the All Blacks. Scott Barrett starting to find his feet throughout the later stages of Super Rugby Pacific, as well as whether you like him or hate him, he can bring a lot to that number 4 jersey for the All Blacks. And now there are questions. Who will be replacing him in that 4 jersey? At the moment, the likely change is Patrick Tuipulotu. He did play 4 for the Blues throughout Super Rugby Pacific. Some are saying maybe this is the time now to move Tupavai back into the locking duo, although Vai playing more 5 for the Chiefs, plus Tupavai not having a bad game in that number 6 jersey. So if you want to keep that consistency, perhaps he has to stay on the blind side for the rest of the series. Fabian Holland, he had a sensational game at number 5, so I definitely think they'll be leaving him there. So the most likely replacement at the moment is Patrick Tuipulotu, and also no official naming of anyone who's coming in as injury cover. But if you were an eagle-eyed viewer and you also tuned in before the match up against New Zealand and France, you would have noticed a certain lock training alongside the team in the warm-ups, that being Naitoa Akoi. I also did spot George Dyer in the tunnel, so perhaps he is in there as the Tyrell Lomax current injury replacement. But I would say Naitoa Akoi probably has a pretty good chance of either being officially or unofficially added in as Scott Barrett's replacement for the next couple of weeks. So they still have a few options in that locking duo, but like I said, I do think Tupavai at this current point of time, if you are going to be looking at him as a 6 for the future matches, you kind of have to keep him there. So maybe Naitoa Akoi can get an All Blacks debut in the relatively near future. He also did not play for the Māori All Blacks, which I know confused a lot of people, but now we know why. He was with the ABs in that training camp. And if you did have Naitoa Akoi and Fabian Holland as that locking duo, between the two of them, I believe they've got about 12 or 13 line-out steals. So it could be extremely handy to have, seeing as neither side in that first test match got a single line-out steal, but the All Blacks having 100% accuracy in their line-out. So that is a massive bonus, but if you are up against a side that will compete at the line-out that little bit more, is it going to be as safe for the ABs? But nonetheless, like I said, the big injury of Scott Barrett, the captaincy now is up for grabs, although it has already been confirmed that Ardie Savea will captain the side in Wellington. I assume there'll still be the co-captains in place, similar to what we've seen from Scott Robertson ever since he was appointed as All Blacks coach. But even in the games where Scott Barrett has been captain, we've seen Ardie Savea as vice-captain. He's often seen talking to the side, trying to rally them up. So I do think it will be a pretty easy transition for Ardie Savea to go from vice-captain into that main captaincy role. But do let me know, ladies and gents, first of all, who would you have replace Scott Barrett in that starting lineup, as well as, I guess, in the whole squad? Is it Naitoa Akoi, or is there someone else who isn't in the environment that you'd like to see brought in? And given that opportunity, also, who would be your captain? I don't know if they've officially said that Ardie Savea after this game is going to continue in that captaincy role, but I would say it is the most likely to occur from now on up until Barrett does return from the injury. But thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Any other injury updates, we will, of course, be letting you know as well. And I will see you all for the next one.